with me and indeed around the world. But the more I see of what the attacks are on your labour laws, the more concerned I am, because this is really about deunionisation. At one level, it's about job security and the lack of commitment to formalising jobs in a country where that's been the battle now for unions for, decades really. And it is wonderful for me to see all of you organising in the informal economy, because again, you are leading by example. When you have 92 or 3% of workers without the security of a minimum wage, universal social protection, essential public services, and of course jobs and job security, then without that frame of a social contract that we can agree is about decent work, then you have a battle on your hands. But then to have the government of the day trying to make that battle harder, to take away hard-fought rights without sitting at the table and negotiating with them, that's an appalling indictment anywhere. But in India, this is a proud democracy. And yes, of course, you may have differences of opinion, but to refuse to engage, to have a trail of broken promises to working people that has in fact broken the trust, that is quite shocking to see. And when you were talking to me, all of you, yesterday, and I made the list, it was extraordinary to see that a government that promised jobs has actually now presided over more than 200 million unemployed people in India. So that means that the informal economy, which is a sector of desperation, is growing. People have to find a way to survive. But without jobs and decent jobs, that's very, very tough. But it's also concerning because this is excluding more of your young people. And Gemma was today reading the statistics to me that by 2030 you will have more than 75% of your young people under 35. Under 35. You exclude this generation from secure jobs, then building the middle classes of the future, that is actually the economic prosperity as well as a matter of social justice, is mission impossible. So I don't know what kind of economics your Prime Minister is reading, but the trickle-down theory has not worked. It hasn't worked for decades. We allowed a global trading system to be built where there were no fundamental rights because people said, any job's a good job, you will get the benefits of prosperity. And we know what's happened is the 1%. And that in fact you have now greater equality within countries, both rich and poor, than ever before. Plus there's some other hypocrisies. It's not just the promises, whether it's jobs or social protection or wages. It's also that the hypocrisy of your government at the global level versus what is presiding over here is extraordinary. I've been in the G20 meetings where your government has signed up to commitments on global supply chains, on both there and at the ILO, on ending child poverty, on reducing forced labour. But there was one particular set of commitments that the Indian government signed up to. One was to increase the labour income share, and that's been a commitment now for all of the term of this government. Secondly, it was to make sure that competition, violations of labour rights couldn't be part of the competitive floor of the global economy. And yet here I hear about companies being exempted from labour inspectorates, about some workers being taken out of the labour law environment altogether if you're in a smaller company, without rights or compliance. This is in fact a return to some sort of slave labour environment. And because when one person, the employer, has all of the power over your working life, then that's what it is. It's economic slavery. And so we have a fight on our hands that is your fight here, but I have made it very clear to everybody, both at our Congress, just a few weeks ago and today, that India, if we lose this fight for democratic rights and freedoms, for economic and social justice in India, then we lose it everywhere, because this economy is so big. The population in Asia, you have two big elections coming up this year. One is here, the other is in Indonesia, and they're all within the next few months. And that will determine really whether Asia, our region, builds a base of rights and shared prosperity, or whether we go backwards. So it is a fight that I want to join with you in solidarity. Felix and I are here deliberately, not just to stand with you, but to work out with you, for you to tell us how we can support you. We made a commitment to your leaders that we would be there for this fight. So between now and the election, we need a plan, and then after that we need to review. We talked yesterday with all of you about immediately bringing the affiliates into our global wages campaign, but that's a longer term strategy, although you are making the demand now, of course, of politicians. But importantly now, we have said that we will undertake between now and the election 4 global days of action. We think we can do the first one within about 4 weeks, so certainly before mid-February. And we will see people take this protest to embassies all around the world. We can do social media and, of course, some mainstream media around support for you and for the campaign. And that's why I need your ideas about what else. You know, Brother Reddy was talking to me today about how you mobilise people in the cities and the industrial areas, but also in the rural areas. And I said to him, if you can map out a strategy, you don't have a lot of time, but if you can map out a strategy that actually shows what resources you would need to actually go to communicate with most of your people, whether it's with organisers' visits or whether it's by other means of communication, then let us know. I know you can't do every area and every district in the world, but I have a lot of experience with political campaigning. You will know better than anybody where you can actually secure the vote. If the moratorium we demanded and the dialogue with the government doesn't happen, and I can't see that it's going to, but if it doesn't, then in fact you will know where the districts are that each of you can tackle. Not everybody can do everything, and even combined you probably can't do all of it, but you know where you can shift the vote. So if you do that strategic thinking and let us know, I will try to mobilise some resources to help you. But we have very little time, so you're talking really about some brief to me within about 2 weeks, and then very quickly I have to come back to you. So that's an offer,